All right, today we're diving into a concept that is absolutely central to how your medicines and even your daily vitamins actually work. It's called bioavailability. Think of it as the secret, hidden journey a pill takes after you swallow it, a journey that decides how much of it your body can really, truly use. So let's get into it.
So, have you ever thought about this? It's not just for variety. The reason you can get the same medicine in so many different forms is all about one thing: control. It's about controlling that journey to make sure the right amount of the drug gets to the right place. And the key to all that control? You guessed it, it's bioavailability.
Let me break it down with an analogy that makes it super simple. Imagine you take a pill. That's like placing an order for 100 items. But your body is a pretty crazy shipping network, right? There are tolls, detours, customs agents, your digestive system, your liver, that can all take a piece of that order. Bioavailability is just the number of items that actually make it to your front door, your bloodstream.
Okay, so that's the simple way to think about it. Now for the official scientific definition. In pharmacology, bioavailability is just the fraction or percentage of a drug that makes it all the way to your systemic circulation, which is really just a fancy term for your bloodstream, the superhighway that carries stuff all over your body. So if 90 of our 100 packages make it, the bioavailability is 90%. Simple as that.
So, how in the world do scientists even measure this? Well, like with any measurement, you need a starting point. You need a perfect baseline, a gold standard that you can compare everything else against. And for bioavailability, that gold standard is a perfect score, 100%. And where do we get that perfect 100% score? From an IV. When a drug is given intravenously, it gets a VIP pass. It completely bypasses that entire crazy shipping network we talked about and goes directly into the bloodstream. By definition, nothing gets lost, so its bioavailability is a perfect 100%. And this is the part that you really need to remember. The IV is our benchmark. It's our perfect score. Every single other method, a pill you swallow, a patch you stick on your arm, a tablet under your tongue, will always have a bioavailability of less than 100%, because they all have to take a longer, more complicated journey to get there. Okay, but how did they get the actual number? It's pretty cool, actually. Scientists take blood samples over time and measure the drug concentration. If you plot that on a graph, you get a curve that goes up as the drug kicks in and then back down as your body processes it. The total area under that curve, or AUC, basically tells you the total drug exposure. So they just compare the AUC from a pill to the perfect 100% AUC from an IV, and boom, you've got your bioavailability. So we've got the science down, but so what? Why does this actually matter in your day-to-day life? Well, it turns out this one concept is pretty much the foundation of our entire modern medical system. Let's start with a big one. This is literally the reason you can trust that a cheaper generic medication works just as well as the expensive brand name one. The entire system of trust is built on one key idea. And that idea is called bioequivalence. It's a fancy word, but it just means biologically equal. For a generic drug to get approved, its maker has to prove that it gets the same amount of medicine into your bloodstream at the same speed as the original drug. In other words, they have to prove their bioavailability is pretty much the same. No, it doesn't have to be identical, but it has to be really, really close. Regulators like the FDA have a very strict statistical window. On the low end, the bioavailability of the generic can't be any less than 80% of the originals. And on the high end, it can't be any more than 125%. Now, that range might sound a little wide, but statistically, it ensures that for virtually every patient, the therapeutic effect is going to be the same. That's how we know it's safe to switch. And this whole idea goes way beyond the pharmacy. Think about nutritional science. Bioavailability determines how much of the iron in your spinach your body can actually use. In environmental science, it's how we track pollutants moving from the soil into plants and up the food chain. It is a universal concept. All right, for this last part, let's get into the really wild stuff, the things that can actually change a drug's journey inside your body. Because here's the kicker: bioavailability isn't some fixed static number. It's a dynamic process, and all kinds of things can influence it. So what are these things? What choices are you making every single day that could be changing how your medicine, or even just your daily multivitamin, is actually working inside you? Well, there's a whole list, whether you take it with food, your age, other medications you might be taking, but the most famous and my favorite example is grapefruit juice. I'm serious, it's not a myth. Grapefruit contains compounds that block a key enzyme in your gut. For certain drugs, this can cause their bioavailability to absolutely skyrocket, sometimes to dangerous levels. It's the perfect example of how complex this journey really is. And just to hammer this point home, especially when we talk about nutrition, check out this quote from a major scientific handbook. It's telling us that it's not just about what you eat, it's about what your body can actually get from that food. That is everything. It's why people can have nutrient deficiencies even when they think they're eating a healthy diet. So look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The number on the bottle, the dose, that's just the starting line. The real story, the important story, is the journey that substance takes to get into your system. Bioavailability is the story of that journey. So there you have it, bioavailability. It's this powerful concept that's quietly running the show behind the scenes. So the next time you see "take with food" on a label, you'll know exactly why it's there. You're not just taking a pill, you're helping to manage its incredible journey.